Our selection will be Come Out the Wilderness. Tell me, how did you feel when you come out the wilderness? How did you feel when you come out the wilderness? Oh, how did you feel when you come out the wilderness? Oh, a leaning on God. Tell me, how did you feel when you come out the wilderness? Oh, how did you feel when you come out the wilderness? Oh, how did you feel when you come out the wilderness? Oh, a leaning on God. Well, I looked at my hands and my hands looked at my feet and well, I started to walk. I had a brand new walk. Then I started to talk and I had a brand new talk. Well, I started to sing. Yeah. And everybody wondered just what was wrong. 'Cause my soul was new when oh, my heart was new when I come out the wilderness. Oh, yes, I loved everybody when I oh, a leaning on yeah. Well, I looked at my hands and my hands looked at my feet and well, I started to walk. I had a brand new walk. Then I started to talk and I had a brand new talk. Well, I started to sing. Yeah. And everybody wondered just what was wrong. 'Cause my soul was new when I oh, my heart was new when I oh, yes, I loved everybody when I oh, a leaning on God. Oh, a leaning on God. Oh, a leaning on
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things, have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We have been getting various questions about how to keep these upcoming holy days that we have. We, especially here in this area, we kind of take some things for granted that we have access to the place where we get to worship. We don't really consider that we have many members that are all across the country, and some of them are outside of the country, and they are not able to come here. So we get email after email as to how do I do this, because I won't be near you guys, things of that nature. So Yah willing, we're going to try to answer all of those things as we go about today's sermon. And to make sure we're going to get that's why I was just a little bit late today. We have trivia questions. As soon as Mother Leo gets to her email, we're going to start printing those out. And for all those who are online and you want the copy of the Bible trivia questions, send an email to theuci.org@gmail.com. theuci.org@gmail, and just say please send trivia questions, so she could easily respond to your email and send those things out. and normally we kind of go over those about 5 o'clock, and they will be on the call line. You can call in and listen in as we go over those trivia questions. Now, in part of the oracles, we read that, "Behold, I have sent an angel to lead you in the way, provoke him not." This is always and has always been a difficult thing for the children of Israel, because only a very select few of us will ever be able to see an angel. When we get down to the whole situation, Moshe was the one who was able to talk with Yahweh face to face. So everybody else, this is why you had so many difference of opinions. People want to go left, these people want to go right. They question everything that Moshe did. They couldn't see the angel. So it says, "Beware, I've sent an angel to lead you in the way, provoke him not." So then the angel nudges you to get you back on the path, but how do you know that that's an angel? Sometimes we end up figuring it out the hard way after he is nudged a couple of times, and then he's not going to nudge no more. It's going to be a little bit more aggressive. When you get down to some of the things that these people had to live through, we read it. They had to live it. It was a lot more tumultuous for them than it is for us reading. Now, the title of today's sermon is "The Feast of the Seventh Month." Now, 7 is the number of completion as it pertains to Yahweh and his earthly creation. As it is written, "He rested on the seventh day, and it was ordained a Sabbath, or a day of rest for all on his creation." Likewise, in the 7th month, the ending of our holy days for our ecclesiastical year takes place. These days are not just mere days of so-called religion. These days are days that were created to get us closer to our Creator. We're going to begin today's sermon in Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus 23 and verse 23. And when you deal with just the creation of the Sabbath, we have to consider some things. There is no official law code. There is no Israel per se as a nation. There is no religion so-called of man. There's nothing. Before anything, he has rested on the Sabbath. So all that are on his earth, this isn't just apply to Israel, because people will quickly tell you that the Sabbath is something that the Jews had to deal with. But when we read he rested on the seventh day, tell me where the Jews at. So this is something that sometimes we allow people to tell us and come with this quick little cop out that they don't have to deal with the Sabbath day. But there's absolutely nothing established at this point, and all of us dwell on his earth, whether it be Muslim, Hebrew, Christian, whatever of all of these things that were developed later. We're all still on the same earth. So the Sabbath should be something that should be in each and every last one of those things, regardless. Leviticus 23, and let's start that at verse 23.
"And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall you have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation."
Now, this makes the beginning of the 7th month different from the other months. It is a new moon. The beginning of the month is a new moon. But in the beginning of the 7th month, Yahweh has a way of making things stick out that he wants to sanctify. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month. So anytime we see the 1st day of the month, we know that's the new moon. Shall you have a Sabbath. Now, this new moon is a Sabbath, and it is a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation. So when we deal with the other new moons, they, of course, were set aside things that we had to deal with. But as far as those being a holy convocation, it was not offered unto us that those were holy convocations. But we see something different about the new moon in the 7th month. Go ahead.
Verse 25, you shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh.
Right. So when we start dealing with a lot of these things, you're going to see that Yahweh will then give us specific instructions when it comes down to things. You have to be careful how you hear what you hear when people start reading some things and then they start surmising and putting some other things in it. Yahweh's point, very pinpoint accurate. You shall do no servile work. It is a holy convocation. He has given you instruction on how this day is going to be done. And that's different from all the other new moons. Although our people always held the new moon as a special thing, it was always that way. It was expected for them to stop what they were doing and come to it. So when you talk about being in our land, keeping a new moon, it was a big deal. If you were not there, people start asking, well, where's such and such? And today it's one of the things that we rarely take a part in. You have a handful of people that deal with the new moon. And if you go to the Jewish, they won't even know what you're talking about. And we give these people all this respect because the television keeps showing that those people are the Jews. And you go and ask them about a new moon and they have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. But there's no way to make a calendar of Yahweh. There's no way to set your holy days without having an observance of the new moon. So that means their people in charge understand about the new moon. They just don't pass that information down. Read the definition for holy.
Holy from H6944, Kodesh. From H6942, a sacred place or thing, rarely abstractly sanctity, consecrated thing, dedicated thing, hallowed thing, holiness, holy, saint, sanctuary.
So when we talk about in verse 24, it says a holy convocation. So this is where he's setting this apart. You will have some people that just want to gather. This part is the convocation. It's the holy part. It has to be a sacred place or thing, consecrated, dedicated. That means something, this is dedicated for this purpose. See, there's a reason why with all of the rooms that we have in here, this one gets closed up. We don't have a whole lot of stuff going on in here. We close these doors and shut this down. Everybody gonna congregate? Y'all can do whatever it is y'all want to do out there. We don't do all that in here. So there's a separation there. Read the definition for convocation.
Convocation from H4744, Mikra. From H7121, something called out, that is a public meeting.
So then now we see a holy convocation. It is a gathering. Convocation is the part of a public gathering or assembly type thing. But it's the part, especially when you go to looking out on the internet and the things that people are presenting. They are presenting convocations in the fact that those people are gathering. But then you look, there are no rules on how those things are to be done. That's where you erase the holy part. And that's going to be a issue. So when we talk about how, and this is what encourages people a lot of times to go to wherever they can find, because we have members who are maybe very far from us, but they're close to a place down the street. So they say, all right, well, we're going to go down to the place down the street so we can keep the holy days. Come to find out they were just keeping some days because there wasn't nothing holy about them. But if you don't know how to judge the spirit by the spirit, then you won't catch those things. So then you go ahead, go through okay, this is what holy is. This is what a convocation is. Let's examine this and see if that's what's happening. And when you look at the front door, when the first person come in with tight jeans on, just get on up and walk on out. Because you know they came there to party. There ain't nothing holy about that. That should be the end of your visit. That should be over right now. Wait a minute, we just got started. No, y'all didn't. Y'all just finished. I just seen what y'all got coming up in here. And y'all not asking anybody any questions. But we're going to get in even a little deeper than that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 19. And hopefully dealing with, the trivia questions, we will be able to solidify everything of what it is we're supposed to be doing. Oftentimes we get right to the holy days, right? And boy, y'all might have to increase that font there right there. How little that is. Good God Almighty. I can't. I'm talking about if that was right in my face, I don't know if I'd be able to read that one. Look, hey, my bad, y'all. I made this up at the last minute. See, on the internet, y'all can blow up font. I would. I mean, blow up one for me, because I can't. I'm not. I mean, you might as well put that in Braille. I couldn't. I'm not gonna be able to do nothing with that right there. But that's my fault. That's not anybody else's doing that. I was last minute Johnny today. That's all on me. Exodus 19, and let's read verses 1 through 16.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came them into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount.
Right, so then we have, in this 3rd month, Yahweh does the sanctification in threes. Go ahead.
And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then shall you be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine.
Now, what we get at those Israelite pep rallies, they like to deal with this part. We're a peculiar treasure unto Yahweh. Back up, boo-boo. Back up. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice, then shall you be a peculiar treasure. You don't just walk around and say, we Israel, so we're a peculiar treasure. No. You missed something. There's some stipulations to becoming a peculiar treasure unto Yahweh. Not just that you Israel. So we walk in with our DNA paper. You see that? It say peculiar treasure. That's what it say. I check my blood, my DNA. Okay. Show me where you walk in the voice of Yahweh. Huh? Oh, that ain't on that DNA paper, huh? Go ahead.
Verse 6, And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests.
You shall be a kingdom of priests. Now we already know we got a tribe of priests, right? But Yahweh says in the beginning, understand this is Exodus. He said you're going to be a kingdom of priests. He has already given Israel a higher charge than the charge they have now. And he gave that charge in the Old Testament. You shall be a kingdom of priests. Not a tribe of priests. We already had a tribe of priests. We got tribe of Levi. Go ahead.
And an holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Israel. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together, and said, All that Yahweh hath spoken we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yah. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Lo, I come unto you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you and believe you forever.
Right. So a sign is not for believers. A sign is for unbelievers. He says, I come in the thick cloud so that the people may believe you. Because I know they're not believers. They need a sign. It says signs are not for those that believe. Signs are for unbelievers. That's why he says, all right, I'm going to give you these gifts. Now go out and perform these gifts, these miracles in these places. That was not for believers. And we have to decide which one of those we're going to be. Believers don't walk around looking for miracles. Believers don't walk around looking for signs. That's something that unbelievers look for. That's why he gave those. Something happens, the unbelievers say, oh man, Yahweh must be in here. The unbeliever need that. Why you need it? Go ahead.
And Moshe told the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes.
Right. So now we're talking about being sanctified against the third day. This is coming into presence with Yahweh. So you have this part. Now, we read the definition of holy for a reason. A sacred place, a thing, dedicated, hallowed, holiness, sanctuary. So this tells us then how even we're supposed to deal with the sanctuary. So then we must come in a certain way to make sure that that stays holy. Okay? So then now, before they are able to make their appearance before Yahweh, they are sanctified against the third day. So you sanctified against the third day when you're making your appearance. We should then be at least sanctified against the Sabbath when we come to keep holy convocation to make that holy. Now, we read in things where it says the synagogue of Satan, and we say, you know, that is a harsh thing to say. And the more you find out about how other observances are gathered, and I understand why when people come from Jewish synagogues, why they end up having so many issues when they first arrive. The Jewish they operate just like Christians in their so-called messianic congregations. There's no clean or unclean. So anybody comes in. Not only that, we are sanctifying ourselves before Friday night at sundown to make sure that no seed passes from us, that we are spiritually clean when we come to keep the Sabbath day. The Jewish encourage that they should engage in activity with their wife on the Sabbath night. That, my friend, is the synagogue of Satan. Make sure you go home and get unclean and come on up in here. This is what they're instructed to do. This is a gift from God for you to go and do that. And I understand there was times that we have people from, you know, had a divided house. You had one where the wife was going to a Jewish congregation, and there was a brother here, and there were certain things that I said, and the brother jumped up, and I'm like, why did brother jump up like that? Because that brother was hearing something else when he got home. Here it is. This brother may be trying to go by this, and then he get home, and his wife said, oh no, it's a gift from God. We got to do this Friday night. What? That ain't gonna work out. Now you got a serious conflict going on as far as what's supposed to happen for righteousness. And that's just step one. And all of these things are happening within, you know, this so-called keeping of feast days. So you have to put all of those little tidbits together and see why Yahweh would say, that's the synagogue of Satan. None of us are going to operate without sin. All of us are going to fall at some point. But teaching rebellion is something altogether different. That's not a mistake. That was done on purpose. Why would you even think that that's okay? Why would you go to teach somebody that? Go ahead, bro.
Exodus chapter 19 and verse 11. And be ready against the third day. For the third day Yahweh will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And you shall set bonds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves that you go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall be surely put to death.
Right. The same way it was ordained for the seat of Yahweh, as far as the ark. You shall not be touch it, or you shall be thrust through. And the brother that accidentally touched it got thrust through. Same thing. This is seat. You do not touch the seat. So it's not anything personal. This is order. Understand the order. If you touch it, we're going to carry you out of there. Simple as that. It is not anything personal. Understand the instructions. When you see the thick smoke and Yahweh descends upon something, have it fixed in your brain. Don't touch whatever that is. I don't care if he descend on a Toyota Camry out there. Don't touch the Camry. Oh, we're going to be carrying you out of here. Simple as that. And then if somebody feelings going to be hurt, y'all with him came down and killed my husband. Your husband touched something he shouldn't have touched. Then that's going to be blamed on Yahweh. That old mean God. We read the instructions. Why did he go touch it? Because we watch the movies and they say, oh my God, that's peculiar. Wonder what that is. Stay away. You should automatically, first of all, be just a little bit afraid of the power. Okay? Just see, a little bit of fear kind of keeps you in line. Just a little bit afraid of the power. Now I'm going to stand and watch that from here. Go ahead.
There shall not an hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet sound long, they shall come up to the mount.
Right. So then this trumpet then is giving us instruction. This is not just a holy day that we keep about the usage of a musical instrument. Go ahead.
And Moshe went down from the mount unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes.
So there's a certain part. Remember, they used to say when we was young, oh, cleanliness is next to godliness. Well, that's where it come from. We used to hear that all the time. Cleanliness is next to godliness. What the world are they talking about? Because if you look for that saying, you ain't gonna find that nowhere in here. That saying you're not gonna find it. So you're trying to figure out what in the world are they talking about? Before they got ready to meet him, they had to come a certain way. Go wash your clothes. Sanctify yourself. You're getting ready to meet Yahweh, your Elohim. Act like you're going somewhere. Act like you finna meet somebody. We'd do it if it was a first date. Oh, we'd be spick and span. Iron the clothes 2 nights before. Go ahead.
And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives.
You see how descriptive Yahweh ends up being? He goes from one level to the next level to the next level. So why would somebody be out teaching? It's a gift from God. Go ahead and defile yourself the night before. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled.
All right, let's go to Numbers chapter 10.
Numbers chapter 10 and verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Make you 2 trumpets of silver. Of a whole piece shall you make them. that you may use them for the calling of the assembly and for the journeying of the camps. And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to you at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And if they blow but with one trumpet, then the princes, which are the heads of the thousands of Israel, shall gather themselves unto you. When you blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the east parts shall go forward.
So then each sound of this trumpet then has its purpose. It has its purpose. We then move according to how this trumpet is blown. So then now we understand when we put those things together, then this trumpet is a representative of Yahweh's voice. The trumpet blow, you move. Yahweh speak, you move. Go ahead.
When you blow an alarm the second time, the camps that lie on the south side shall take their journey. They shall blow an alarm for their journeys. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, you shall blow, but you shall not sound an alarm. And the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations.
Right. And it is the priests that blow the trumpet to gather and ordain the movement of the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppress you, then you shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and you shall be remembered before Yahweh your Elohim, and you shall be saved from your enemies.
And we have to look, if we back up to verse 2, these trumpets, these were official trumpets. Make you 2 trumpets of silver. Of a whole piece shall you make them, that you may use them for the calling of the assembly and for the journeying of the camps. So understand, at this point, you have Israel under their own power, in their own control, and they are able to use their own things to do these things. And a whole piece of silver is not a cheap thing to come across. Go ahead.
Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginning of your months, you shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your Elohim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim.
All right, let's go to back to Leviticus 23. You might want to just keep a little marker there. So then, as we deal with first this Feast of Trumpets, which is our the beginning of the 7th month, for those that are, spread apart, you just keep these things in observance the best that we can do. On the part where it says the Sabbath, then we set aside that day and we try our best to get off work. Understand that we are in the daughter of Babylon, and a lot of those things that we attempt to do, we're not going to be able to do. That was not an excuse in the times of our people being in control of our own land. There's absolutely no excuse whatsoever. What's the problem? No work, no means no work. And everybody is governed by the same law. Understand, our ecclesiastical law, or our so-called, I'm using man's word, religious law, is the same as our civil law. We get it all out the same book. Okay? So it won't be any confusion when it comes down to, hey, this is the day we're going to keep this. This is how we're going to do this. Everybody in the land understands that. So when somebody decides that they're going to have somebody to work, it should be a good mob of people standing outside their business. Amen. I looked in that window, man. I saw somebody keep walking around in there. What they walking around in there for? Who in there? No, that's serious business. Think about how these people do their Christmas. You cannot keep Christmas, but I tell you what, 9 times out of 10, you ain't going to work on it. Because they're going to shut it down. They're going to make it to where you cannot work on their days. So you have to keep that days whether you like it or not. Go ahead, bro.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 26. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, also on the 10th day of this month there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and you shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh.
So, one of the things that you should notice that you keep hearing is an offering made by fire. And believe it or not, a lot of these things cause so many people. Sometimes, like, you'll see people, and then a little while later you don't see them. They end up having a problem with this or having a problem with that. You have no idea how much just the offering made by fire ends up causing some issues. This is why when we have a holy day that we're going to cook, okay, it has to be some fire involved. We won't come on a feast day and pass out cold cuts, okay? We will not have sandwiches on a feast day. It has to be cooked by fire. If they come with some sandwiches, I'm going to set the bread on fire. Want something going to be on fire. They be like, Chuck just set bread on fire. They're like, that dude crazy. No, I'm trying to keep all y'all from getting tore up. Look at him. Come on, man. Kids, help me. Come on, man. Put something on there. Set them things on fire. So what are y'all doing? Trying to keep, what it say? I send an angel before you to lead you in the way. Don't provoke him. So when y'all see me set them sandwiches on fire, you understand? I'm trying to keep the angel from coming in here and killing all us. Let's just set all these things on fire one by one. All right, now go ahead, eat up, y'all. We good now? Because we set it on fire. But you're going to learn something about that fire. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 28, and you shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before Yahweh your Elohim.
Right. So part of the afflicting ourselves, one part is not working. And, you know, people like, you know, you got people that's like, look, I don't like to work at all. How's that an affliction? Because we like to pass the time when we can't do nothing else. So we try to find something else to do. So you have not working as a part of that affliction. And the second thing is the thing we like to do the most. Eat. We eat when we ain't even hungry. We got nervous snack habits. People like, you hungry? No. Okay, but that's the fourth thing you put in your mouth. You just said you weren't hungry. I know it because I do it. And it's stuff like this, doing this that will cause like the biggest issue when I get down to the days of atonement, because I'm always drinking something hot, because, you know, I'm using my voice over and over. Every class, everything, eventually your throat get real scratchy. So I'm always trying to get something hot to drink. Well, you get down to atonement, you ain't got accustomed to having something hot as you're doing, you know, your little class and whatnot. And automatically your brain will go right into that gear. It'll be atonement. We ain't to eat or drink nothing for 24 hours. But my hand will go right here looking for a cup. And I just got through telling y'all, don't eat or drink nothing. Anybody got my coffee? Anybody say, what about my tea? Anybody got my tea? Don't drink nothing. Kiss, where my tea at, bro? Then Kiss got to remind me, hey, brother, it's atonement. Oh, my bad. Just that quick. That's all it takes. And you have completely forgotten what it is you're supposed to be doing. And them habits kick in. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 29, for whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
Mm-hmm.
And whatsoever soul it be that does any work in that same day, that same soul will I destroy from among his people.
Mm-hmm.
You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
Mm-hmm.
It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and you shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even, shall you celebrate your Sabbath.
Right. The 9th day at even begins the 10th. So this is why a lot of times when you're looking at the holy days, we sometimes end up taking the wrong day off, because we'll see that the day begins on the 14th, but it's the 14th at sundown. So the 14th at sundown, it's the next day that you need off from work. So we have to remember that as we're getting closer and closer to our days. Let's go. Where did you finish up the
Verse 32, yeah.
Go ahead. You finish that up?
Yes.
All right, now read the definition for atonement.
Kafar, a primitive root to cover, figuratively to expiate or condone, to placate or cancel. Appease, make an atonement, cleanse, disannul, forgive, be merciful. Pacify, pardon, to pitch, purge away, put off, make reconciliation.
Right. So to atone is to make reconciliation, to reconcile a thing. There's one level of things of Passover, which will be setting this aside. Now we have something of making reconciliation. You notice that is at the end of the holy days. Understand where that is set forth. You don't see reconciliation in the beginning of our feast days for a reason. It is a process for reconciliation. See, we want reconciliation to just jump right off. It don't work like that. There is a process for reconciliation. And it is in the 7th month. It is in the last month, in the last set of holy days. Once these things were done in the garden, Yahweh couldn't just bring reconciliation right away. There was a pause before he could bring reconciliation. He said he had to wait for a body to be found. From the beginning, it was man that sinned, so it was man that was going to have to shed blood. So he's got to find a body that is suitable for Israel to come and dwell in. Oh, that's a process. Go ahead. That was the end of that. Let's go to Numbers chapter 35. Numbers chapter 35. Eli, you got one of those sheets over there? Thank you. Numbers 35, and we're going to read verses 30 through 34.
Verse 30. Whoso kills any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death.
And you know, we're kind of funny about things. We will deal with the law very stringently when it's somebody else until it make it to our house. Go ahead.
And you shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest.
Right. He's got to go outside of that land and go and dwell in the city of refuge, and he can't come back until the death of the priest. But see, people are making an excuse. Well, you know, my mother passed, and I need to go to her funeral. Well, it's gonna be your funeral too. We're gonna have a double one. You better get back over there in that land. Don't come back out. Go ahead.
So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defiles the land.
Right. See, now this is bigger than just some ordinance. The blood defiled the land, even though it was an accidental murder, because that the blood of the murderer has not been shed. When you go back in that land, you have defiled it. You gotta go. Your whole presence in the land, since you have killed somebody in it, is defiling it. You can't stay here. Go ahead.
And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it.
Right. So that's why when he show back up in the land, they say he got to die. That's the only way to cleanse this land. You shed blood in the land, it's going to take your blood to cleanse it. So consider what's going on in Israel with all the bloody murders that are being committed by the so-called Israelis. You understand what Yahweh is about to do? He's got to use the same ones who defiled it, and their blood has to be shed to cleanse it. Go ahead.
Defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Israel.
All right, let's go to Hebrews chapter 9. I'm sorry, let's go to Matthew chapter 26. Appreciate it, brother.
No problem.
So then as we go through these days now, this is the separation, atonement. They offered up an offering. This is where things get kind of interesting. Things have to be offered with fire, but on the other things we're going to eat, but on atonement we are not going to eat. Okay, so this is so for other people who are in other places and attempting to still observe their holy days, then this would be a meal that we're going to go out of our way to prepare for those days, because we need to have something that's cooked with fire. Okay, so in keeping that, then understand that this is the way we're going to operate. We're going to make sure if you're going to keep those in the place where you are, then you're going to prepare some kind of meal by fire so that you can partake in a meal in dedication of that particular thing. All right. Matthew chapter 26, and let's start that at verse 36.
Then comes Yahshua with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and says unto the disciples, Sit you here, while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Cephas and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then says he unto them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry you here, and watch with me. And he went a little further, and fell on his face, and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. And he comes on to the disciples and finds them asleep, and says unto Cephas, What, could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak.
The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. So when we get down to these things, from the beginning, it was a man that sinned. So it had to be by man that these things were set back in order. Yahshua is attempting to find some other way. Is there any other way that this can be done? And he understands that Yahweh is giving him the answer of no. See, we want to receive a positive answer on every prayer we pray. We want a yes and a job well done, even if we ain't did nothing. We want to receive all those things. And here's the son of Elohim praying over and over and over. And Yahweh saying, no. But you see, even in his prayer, he's ready to accept Yahweh's will, even though it's not the will of his own. Please, if there's any other way for me to redeem these people, is there any other way? And he understands Yahweh don't answer him. He know, I gotta do this. Nonetheless, not my will, but your will. I will accept your will, although I really don't want to do this. Because he know the flesh, and he know what man going to do. Man ain't just going to kill you. Man going to make a spectacle out of you before he kill you. My elder used to say all the time, when you pray, you have, there's several options that Yahweh can say. Yes, no, and not right now. Are you prepared for all of those? Sometimes we've already imagined the answer before we start questioning, before we start praying. And consider here, Yahshua is in this place, and he has no choice. As it is written, let us make man in our image. Okay. So when man got off, Yahweh is hard, but he fell. All right. Remember that man you wanted to create? You see what they done got off into, right? Guess who got to go clean that up? Well, no other way. Go ahead, bro.
You ever watch when your children come to you with excitement with something that they want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And when you turn them down, because surely dad is not going to say no.
Hey, surely he sees my way in this, right?
Verse 42.
I done seen them melt like they was in a hot boiling pot, man. Like all the bones just went away. Like, oh my God, somebody grab that child and put him in the freezer so they can stand back upright. Yeah, this is for surely. He will see the grandness of, what I'm saying, this idea that I have. This is an awesome idea. I think, we should get a pet camel, Dad. It ain't gonna work, baby. It ain't gonna work. They gone. But hey, it's one of those things. Think about what Yahweh has to deal with. And we just consider the group of people that we know. And every last one of us praying for something different. Think about what that's got to be like. We get, overwhelmed if 3 kids run up to us and all ask for something different at the same time. Think about the situation that Yahweh is in with that happening every night. And we wonder why he says, I turned my back from him so that I wouldn't hear him. Because it just sounds like a bunch of noise. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 42. He went away again the second time and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done.
Okay, so now he's getting a little bit closer. This started where? Verse 36? Yeah. He says in verse 38, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry you here and watch with me. Oh, my Father, if it be possible, verse 39, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. He continues to go. Oh, my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, verse 42, except I drink it, your will be done. Go ahead.
And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again and prayed the third time, saying the same words.
He's praying the same prayer over and over and over. He has the same objective. That I want to save these people. But not like this. Now surely, you made heaven and earth and all that in them is. I know because I was there. Look here. I know we got to be able to find a better way than this. Come on now, let's be creative. You the Elohim of all earth. Come on now. Where Moses at? Come on, somebody, y'all. Come on now. Let's come up with something. Y'all like, no. This is the way that this has got to be done. And I know it's upsetting. But this is going to make everybody better. Go ahead, bro.
Then cometh he to his disciples and says unto them, Sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, The hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that does betray me.
In other words, he got Yahweh answer. This is what he kept praying for. Is there another way? Is there another way? Is there another way? Okay, there's no other way. All right, y'all going. Ain't no need y'all waking up now. Go to sleep. First, he like, yo, get up. Y'all can't watch 1 hour? What's wrong with y'all? After he realized Yahweh wasn't going to change, y'all might well go to sleep now because it's about to go down in a minute. He on his way. Go ahead and get you some rest. Because they on their way. It's about to go down now, and ain't nothing we can do about it. This is the path that Yahweh has chosen. And if the son of Elohim was confused about the path of his father, how much more shall we be confused about the path of the Most High? And we think we can understand everything. His son didn't understand it. His son is trying to get, will you please change this? No! But we think we're going to understand everything. We're going to understand every turn even before the turn is made. Because you know, GPS always tell you, right by the McDonald's, turn left. I'm sorry, but Yahweh don't work like that. You don't get to know the final destination before you start your travel. That's not how faith works. At all. Did you finish that, bro?
Yes.
All right, let's go to Hebrews 9. I just tell you what, though. I don't want to be on Yahshua's bad side when he come back. You know, hey, I come in to help create all of this. Then they kill me? Oh, when I come back, I'm pissed! They said the lion of the tribe of Yehuda is on his way. Oh, that's going to be one mad lion. He done had 2,000 years to ponder. Say, what you been doing? I've been pondering for 2,000. And you ever seen an angry lion? I don't even want to get close to a lion when they in the cage. Okay? And you talking about an angry one who has been severely mistreated. You ever seen the kids, and I know I used to do this when I was little, they had a couple mean dogs in the neighborhood. And the kids would be across the street throwing rocks at the dog. And they'd be like, stop throwing rocks at that dog. Let me tell you something. That dog remember who threw rocks at him. As soon as he break that chain. And when he get loose, you notice that he go for certain individuals. Because we all took off. When he got out, back, we heard that chain, bing, like, ah, and we all gone. That dog like, I want little Johnny. I want little Johnny. I mean, everywhere, we gone. He like, I want this. He go past 2 of us. That's the one that throw rocks at me. Right there. Every day. That's what I'm getting. And to throw you off when he went past me. He caught me. I'm like, oh, I'm dead. I'm dead. He done caught me. I zigged when I should have zagged. He got me. And he go right past me. You ain't the one. You ain't the one. Go past another little boy. You ain't the one. That's him right there. And everywhere he turn, he on him. I'm getting you today, boy. Right. Y'all sure got some business to take care of. He got some business to take care of. And last thing I want to be is on the bad side of a lion. Go ahead, bro.
Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 11. But Yahshua being coming high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us.
So, understand, it was the high priest that went in with the blood of the animal to make atonement. This is why Yahweh was like, there's no other way, son. I know you want me to do this some other kind of way. I know this is not the way you want to do this. I know this is going to upset you. But you got to walk in as the high priest with your own blood, not the blood of an animal, and make atonement for the children of Israel. There is no other way. There ain't no blood better than the blood that you got. So I got to get you to do it. And that's the first thing we ask when it gets difficult. Why me? Say, no, you. I need you. You got to do this. And if you didn't do it this way, who was going to be able to go in there and anoint the altar? Remember now, whoever touch it, die. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. So you got to go in that place where the people die when they touch it? But what happened if you already dead? Oh, son, you got to go through this. Can't nobody else touch this but you. Go ahead.
For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctify to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Yahshua, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to Elohim, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living Elohim? And for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator. For a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while the testator lives.
So we got another level of why he has to go through this thing, because it is going to transform at his death. And I don't believe Yahshua had a problem with the death. He had a problem with the manner in which the death was about to come. See, it's one thing dying. It's something altogether different being tortured. Those are two totally different things. You can die in half a second. But it's something altogether different when it take a half a day. Go ahead.
Whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood. For when Moshe had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book and all the people, saying, This is the blood of the testament which Elohim has enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. And almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission. It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these.
With better sacrifices than these. And who would have been in a position to offer a better sacrifice other than Yahshua? No, son, it must be done this way. See, a lot of times what we want to do is try to figure out. There's something that you have to notice within the prayer of Yahshua. Yahweh didn't offer no reason why though. See, that's the difference when you tell your kids, you know, when they got those holiday weekends, you know, they change the trash schedule. And you tell your kid, hey man, take out the trash today. Yeah, but daddy, it's Thursday. Trash man don't come to Friday. Yeah, I know, son, but take it out today. But no, but see, daddy, look, man, I don't have time to explain to you the holiday schedule. I'm telling you, if you wait till Friday, we're going to be stuck with trash all week. Now just take the trash out today. He gives them instructions. It's afterwards that we start getting all these other things. This must be done. This must be done. This must be done. Come on, son. How can there be another way? And you got to understand, this is the spirit of Israel that is dwelt in this body. he's not confused. He's not confused about the process. But the flesh desires what it desires because it just wants to be, hey, make this cut short. Make this easier. This is why the adversary, the devil, tried to test him as soon as he got in the flesh. And he starts testing the level of the flesh. Why don't you command these stones to be made bread? He's like, yeah, I know you made this body, but you ain't never been in it. See, I've been corrupting these fools here for eons. I've been corrupting these fools. They'll do anything when they get hungry. They'll do anything. Turn that day. I heard you've been fasting. You been fasting? Congratulations. I tell you what, make some bread. Some of that good bread. Yeah, that stuff that they serve at the fine restaurants. You know what I'm saying? Put a little butter and olive oil on there. Sprinkle just a little bit of pepper on it. You know what I'm saying? I bet you won't make that. Right, because once he make it, now he's tempted by the thing that he's made. See, yeah, I know you made flesh. But you ain't never felt hunger, though. So he wants to test him according to the limitations of the fleshly body that he's in. Go ahead.
Verse 24. For Yahshua is not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are the figures of the true, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of Elohim for us. Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest enters into the holy place every year with blood of others. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world.
Right. And Yahweh's not going to let his son suffer over and over and over again. So it has to be done this way. Go ahead.
But now once in the end of the world has he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself.
Right. So he has to play the role of the sacrifice and the sacrificer, if that's a word. He's got to play both roles here. Never before has anybody else been able to play both roles. You have the high priest who's sacrificing the animal, and then he takes the blood of the animal and anoints the altar. He is the sacrifice and taking his own blood to anoint the altar. So yeah, it ain't no other way. But you gotta die. And all he asks of us is for us to die spiritually, not physically. That means there's certain things that has to die off. Go ahead.
And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment. So Yahshua was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation.
Without sin unto salvation. All right, let's go back to Leviticus 23 and verse 33.
Verse 33. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto Yah.
Right. So then we understand, if we look at the holy days, we have 3 in the first month. We got 1 that sits dead smack in the middle. Then we have 3 in the 7th month. Yahweh has an order. All right. We got Feast of Trumpets. We got Feast of Atonement. Then we have our Feast of Tabernacles, which begins on the 15th day of the 7th month. Go ahead.
On the first day shall be an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein.
All right. Servile work. We know that we cannot go and do work that we get paid for. Go ahead.
7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and you shall do no servile work therein.
So, in the whole part of us doing our cooking and doing things that has to be cooked by fire, we understand that these are not our sacrifices anymore, because Yahshua has taken care of that level. All right. So now it is on a lower level of what we are then dealing with. But we still have to offer these things that are made by fire. Go ahead.
These are the feasts of Yahweh which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon his day.
Right. So then when we go into these things of drink offerings, you have some people that have decided that they're just too holy. They're not gonna have no wine. They just exceptionally holy. So they just not gonna do it. Not understanding then, I'm sorry, but you have made yourself unholy. Yahweh's instructions are his instructions. What a wine at?
So no, we too holy for that. We can't do that.
Okay. Go ahead.
Besides the Sabbaths of Yahweh, and besides your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your freewill offerings, which you give unto Yahweh.
Now, you have to consider, a lot of times people are so afraid.
He said, what if the authorities bust in here? We ain't got no liquor license. We gonna go to jail.
Pause. What did I read to y'all or tell to y'all about them people sacrificing them chickens? What did they openly say on the news? These were the police talking, by the way. They said we can't do nothing to those people. That's a religion, and they are allowed to have religious observance. In other words, they didn't sign that 501c3 document, so their religious observance was not to be intervened by the state. Right. Read, bro.
Verse 39. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruit of the land, you shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And you shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim 7 days. And you shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. You shall celebrate it in the 7th month. You shall dwell in booths 7 days.
You shall dwell in these booths 7 days. Now, this is how a lot of people have taught to go out in the woods. When you read these things, it says go out, get those things, and you bring them back to build your booths. This is why you have to be careful how you hear what you hear. Because you have, and I never even knew that this was like this really big thing, that you have all of these people teaching this, going out in the woods during tabernacles. You go out in the woods, you get the stuff to build the tabernacles, the booths, and you come back. You don't stay there. But it is so many doctrines out there dealing with that same thing. And honestly, this is why it actually helps that some of you go out and listen to other people. Because honestly, I would have never known that was a doctrine. Because I don't be, really going, looking at other people's stuff. So I would have never even known that until somebody brought it. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? Who told you that? What? Then you couldn't figure out, wait a minute. There's a whole bunch of people saying that. Then you realize, okay, we got to deal with this. Because they're killing a whole lot of people with this right here. Never even knew. Go ahead.
You shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelite born shall dwell in booths. That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths, when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. And Moshe declared unto the children of Israel the feasts of Yahweh.
All right. So now let's go to Nehemiah chapter 8. Nehemiah chapter 8. And let's start that at verse 1.
Nehemiah chapter 8 and verse 1. And all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moshe, which Yahweh had commanded to Israel. And Ezra the priest brought the law before the congregation both of men and women, and all that could hear with understanding, upon the first day of the 7th month.
Right. So remember before we had read about the things about in the year of release that they were going to read the law and go through these things. There is a system whereby the children of Israel are going to hear the law at certain intervals throughout their lives, so that it is not this strange thing by the time we get grown, by the time we get 20, then most of us are on our second, going into our third time hearing the whole thing about the law. That's beside all of the times that we've heard it before in between those times. This is something added unto that. So that as we begin to be adults, now we have some understanding on how we're supposed to conduct ourselves. See, this was the confusion that was out there before. And this is why, some of us have so many issues that we have had to deal with in our lives, because although we were going to church, they really didn't give us instruction like that. So we were doing it the best way we knew how, or whatever we thought, only to find out it left a trail of things in the rearview mirror. Because there wasn't no instructions. All we knew was going to church and you sing really hard, really, really hard. And you dance really good, really, really good. And you shout really loud, really, really loud. That's all we knew. And we went home feeling good. Until we find out, just like they doing here, they end up coming back into the land. Somebody starts going into the book and they start reading and they're like, uh-oh. Hey, boss, we in trouble, man. What we been doing? Now you got to throw that thing in reverse and make some changes. But it takes some accountability to throw some things in reverse and make some changes. See, the first thing you got to do is admit you went the wrong way. And it's uncomfortable to put that thing in reverse. Everybody blowing at you. Bye, man. Got to wait, fool. You got to bag that thing up. Oh, and steering in reverse is totally different than steering going forward. And unless you made her, let me tell you something. It is extremely difficult to bag up and still steer this thing. Because you realize one thing. Steering is opposite when you're going backwards. Oh, it's completely different. And the slightest movement takes you about 50 feet. You go like this. You all over here. You in somebody's grass. I barely turned this thing. But then you notice there are some people that can drive backward like it ain't nothing. Hey man, how you do that? Experience. I done went wrong enough. I can do this. I remember having my first time trying to hook up a trailer. Oh my God. Hey man, I don't like you truck driving dudes laughing, bro. Hey, hold on, bro. Hold on, bro. You testing me now. Yeah. See, them truck driving dudes, they do this all the time. So see, that's funny to them. Man, it took me about an hour to park this trailer, man. Every time I turn, next thing I know, the trailer all up on the truck. I was like, God almighty. Trying to back up with a trailer is a job. And if you ain't done this before, it is going to be an issue to go in reverse. But you deal with all the uncomfortable part of backing up so you can get this thing where it needs to be. But it is uncomfortable. And everybody looking at you while you're doing it. That's the one thing you have to condition yourself when you get ready to go in reverse.
All right, don't pay attention. Act like you don't see none of these people.
Act like you don't see none of these people. All right, straight ahead. Act like you have zero use of your peripheral vision, okay?
You see them looking at you, they pointing at you. I don't see them. I don't even see that. I'm gonna keep on. I'm gonna get this thing in this parking spot.
You do what you gotta do. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 3. And he read therein before the street that was before the water gate from the morning until midday, before the men and the women, and those that could understand.
And I already know half of us would be asleep. He read from the beginning of the morning to midday. Some of us have slop. We had that dried slop. You know when they wake up in the morning and they got that little, you got that little slop part that just done dried up on your face. And everybody know you been asleep because my grandmama used to say that hag been riding you. That heck, because I can tell that slob going just like this right here. You doing something wrong, boy. That hag, she been riding you, that witch. What are you talking about? Yeah. They reading from the day to midday. And we go long in here and people be like,
Man, when is he gonna finish?
they read for half a day. Go ahead.
And the ears of all the people were attentive unto the book of the law.
The ears were attentive. This what happens when Yahweh causes you to respect something. See, before that, understand, we're talking about young ones and little ones. We're talking about grown people. We're talking about a multitude of people. Think about, you're talking about the people attentive to the law. That's what happened when you done suffered loss. See, he has to change your perspective in a few things. Once you suffer loss, you're a little bit more attentive. See, as long as we got everything,
You're like, look, man, I ain't trying to hear that.
go through a few problems, lose a few things, and they start talking, we're like, excuse me, can you back up to verse 12? I didn't hear that one. Oh, we attentive then. Because see, we thinking about, that stuff that we just got through going through. I don't ever want to go through that again. So I'm going to need you to read that a little bit louder because I don't ever want to go through this again. So let me find out what all the stipulations are so I ain't never, ever back here again. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And Ezra the scribe stood upon a pulpit of wood, which they had made for the purpose. And beside him stood Mattithiah, and Shema, and Ananiah, and Uriah, and Hilkiah, and Maaseiah.
All these end in Yah. See? And they keep telling you,
Well, we don't really know his name,
everybody name end in Yah.
but we don't really know his name.
Yeah, all these names end in Yah.
But he has many names.
Yet, we keep finding all these names end in Yah. But they keep trying to tell us his name too holy to say. Well, how's his name in everybody else's name then? Once again, synagogue of Satan. Synagogue of Satan gonna tell you his name too holy to say. And then say they got a leader named Netanyahu. So, how his name in your name then? But we can't say it. It's too holy. No, it's too holy for you to say. You keep my God name out your mouth, not me. His name gonna stay in my mouth. Go ahead.
On his right hand, and on his left hand, Pedaiah, and Mishael, and Milkiah, and Hashem, and Hasbadana, Zechariah, and Meshullam. And Ezra opened the book into the sight of all the people, for he was above all the people. And when he opened it, all the people stood up. And Ezra blessed Yahweh, the great Elohim. And all the people answered, Amen, Amen, with lifting up their hands. And they bowed their heads and worshipped Yahweh with their faces to the ground.
And before I got into this word, that whole point of raising up hands, opening out your hands, and bowing to the ground, never really seen anything. Everything we ever did in the church was like that right here. I don't know who this is. But this was how we was taught to do it on Sunday morning. And somebody should have told me that before I went to a tattoo parlor and got them lion hands put on me.
They said them praying hands. I was like, them lying hands.
Because now what I read, them hands ain't like this. But now I got this ink stuck on me. That's what happened when you jump before you understand what the hell you doing. Now what I'm supposed to do, get another tattoo to cover up the tattoo that I got when I didn't know what the hell I was doing? No, I'm just going to walk around showing what kind of bad decision that was. Go ahead.
Also Yeshua and Bani and Sherebiah, Yamin, Akub, Shebbatiah, Hodiah, Maaseiah, Kelita, Azariah, Jozabad, Hanan, Peliah, and the Levites caused the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their place. So they read in the book, in the law of Elohim distinctly, and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. And Nehemiah, which is the Tershatha, and Ezra, the priest, the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people,
The Teshatha is the governor. He is the ruler. Go ahead.
said unto all the people, This day is holy unto Yahweh your Elohim. Mourn not, nor weep. For all the people wept when they heard the words of the law.
All the people wept. It is pricking them because they realize that they are out of line. So rather than weeping, he said, no, this is a holy day. I understand we have not been doing what it is we're supposed to be doing. But this is a holy day. Mourn not. We're going to get past this. This ain't going to keep us down. But understand, we got to step up our game, but we're not going to mourn today. See, we will not be caught mourning on Yahweh's holy day. Go ahead.
Then he said unto them, Go your way, eat the fat, and drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto our Elohim. Neither be you sorry, for the joy of Yahweh is your strength. So the Levites stilled all the people, saying, Hold your peace, for the day is holy, neither be you grieved. And all the people went their way to eat, and to drink, and to send portions, and to make great mirth, because they had understood the words that were declared unto them.
Keep going.
And on the second day were gathered together the chief of the fathers of all the people, the priests and the Levites, unto Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the law. And they found written in the law which Yahweh had commanded by Moshe, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month. And that they should publish and proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem, saying, Go forth onto the mount, and fetch olive branches, and pine branches, and myrtle branches, and palm branches, and branches of thick trees, to make booths as it is written.
So he's telling them, go and get all of these branches to, so that we can construct these booths. Keep going.
So the people went forth and brought them, and made themselves booths.
Now, listen to where they make the booths at. Go ahead.
Everyone upon the roof of his house, and in their courts, and in the courts of the house of Elohim, and in the street of the water gate, and in the street of the gate of Ephraim.
Right. They didn't make the booths in the woods. They went in the woods, got all of the stuff to make the booths, brought all that back. Set up them booths all around the city, all around inside the temple. And understand, ain't so many gonna fit in the temple. Then you come out into the street. Then you go out into that street. The people who live around, they're setting it up on the roof. They got booths everywhere. A booth is just a tent. You get a tent or a canopy, go get you some branches, put the branches on it. For those who are not near to the congregation, you can get you one of them canopies they got at Academy Sports, like $50. It'll pop up, 4 legs, pop up. Get you some branches, put it on each leg, pop. You got you a booth. Done deal. Go ahead.
And all the congregation of them that were come again out of the captivity made booths, and sat under the booths. For since the days of Yahshua the son of Nun unto That day had not the children of Israel done so, and there was very great gladness. Also, day by day, from the first day on to the last day, he read in the book of the law of Elohim, and they kept the feast 7 days. And on the 8th day was a solemn assembly.
So he read out of the book of the law every last one of those days. They are getting more and more instruction out of the law. They have made their booths, set them up in the street, set them up on the roof, set them up in the yard, in the court, but they are around the place where they have to make their appearance. Yahweh has order. Go ahead.
According unto the manner.
Is that it for that, bro?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to Numbers chapter 29. And that's why it says, line upon line, precept upon precept, because if someone reads in one place and they're talking about certain things, if you present that to someone else and they say, all right, well, I tell you what, let's go read Nehemiah chapter 8. And he starts giving you the directions on where the booths were set up and how they were set up. That's going to kill that camping trip right there. In one reading. But if you don't toss that to nobody else, then you let some slickster cause you to spend a whole lot of money and do a whole lot of things outside of Yahweh's law. So there's some things you hear, you got to bring it to somebody else. Hey, come here, let me ask you something. What you think about this right here? Because the question is, if we do get pulled off into something, and Yahweh asks, well, hold on, how you get pulled off into that? Who did you ask? Oh, I didn't ask nobody. Oh, no, well, we got to have a conversation then. This is why, as they're going through all of those things, they're standing up, they're reading the law. When they got a question about the law, they're going to go to the very people who were standing up there reading it. Hey, I got a question. So when it comes down to something and you get off into something, they're going to ask. So at what point did you ask a question to that one who was reading the law? Oh, I didn't. Oh, well, you got yourself some issue now. So take care of your end when it comes down to that. So that when somebody come to you, and if the angel of Yahweh come to you, oh, no, I asked the question now. I went and asked. You got to cover your end. Numbers chapter 29, and let's start that at verse 1. Go ahead, bro.
Sometimes those questions that we don't want to ask, or the answers that we have, are previous thought processes or previous learned answers. You were talking about the trailer. One thing about that trailer and stopping the reverse, the heavier that trailer is, the harder it is to stop. It's a longer stopping distance.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to consider those past things that we've learned is the baggages in that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
How much more do you have in there, and how long is going to be your stopping distance?
You got it.
Look, all the truck drivers just said, man, that's deep right there, bro.
Go ahead, man.
Numbers chapter 29 and verse 1. And in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work. It is a day of blowing the trumpets unto you.
Right. In the 7th month, the 1st day of the month, is a holy convocation. Go ahead.
And you shall offer a burnt offering for sweet savor unto Yahweh. 1 young bullock, 1 ram, and 7 lambs of the first year without blemish. And their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3/10 deals for a bullock, and 2/10 deals for a ram, and 1/10 deal for 1 lamb throughout the 7 lambs, and 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering to make an atonement for you, beside the burnt offering of the month, and his meat offering, and the daily burnt offering, and his meat offering, and their drink offerings, according unto their manner, for a sweet savor, a sacrifice made by fire unto Yahweh.
Right. So then you find that there is a ordained part that is given each one of these days. So this is some pretty serious stuff as you go from day to day dealing with these days. Go ahead.
And you shall have on the 10th day of this 7th month an holy convocation, and you shall afflict your souls. You shall not do any work therein. But you shall offer a burnt offering unto Yahweh for a sweet savor, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, and 7 lambs of the first year. They shall be unto you without blemish. And their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3/10 deals to a bullock, and 2/10 deals to 1 ram, a several tenth deal for 1 lamb throughout the 7 lambs. 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, beside the sin offering of atonement, and the continual burnt offering, and the meat offering of it, and their drink offerings. And on the 15th day of the 7th month you shall have an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work, and you shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. And you shall offer a burnt offering, a sacrifice made by fire, of a sweet savor unto Yahweh, 13 young bullocks, 2 rams, and 14 lambs of the first year. They shall be without blemish. And their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3/10 deals unto every bullock of the 13 bullocks, 2/10 deals to each ram of the 2 rams, and a several tenth deal to each lamb of the 14 lambs, and 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, beside the continual burnt offering, his meat offering, and his drink offering. And on the 2nd day you shall offer 12 young bullocks, 2 rams, 14 lambs of the first year without spot, and their meat offering and their drink offerings for the bullocks, for the rams, and for the lambs shall be according to their number, after the manner.
So as we keep reading, you see that this is going to go on and on with specifics as to what things were going to be done by the children of Israel on these days. And I don't want to go through all of it. I just wanted to go through enough so that you see that they have this broken down day by day, what our people did as a whole during this time. Now, of course, we already have a perfect sacrifice, but you see the whole thing of what has to be done by fire. So let's get into a little bit more of this fire so we can understand this part. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 7. And there are little tidbits and things that you may not even think are important. Understand, we've had people that decided they didn't want to come back anymore because we was eating food on the Sabbath. Because they said, hey, the word says you shall not kindle a fire on the Sabbath. And I mean, this got them caught up. They didn't read in the book where it was the priest baking the hot bread on the Sabbath. They didn't read that part. Somehow that part got past them. And these are the priests that's doing that. And they're doing it on the Sabbath. Because it always has to have this bread. Okay? So then, not understanding that what Yahweh is doing is trying to catch them or afflict their heart before they get to the point of working. Because your fire is your fuel. That is your power when you're getting ready to go to work. This is the stuff that you're going to need to go and do other things with. So he puts that speed bump there. So if you already are afflicted in your heart at the point that you're trying to get ready to work, you'll never keep going. This is the same thing that he does with the carcass of an animal. He says the carcass of an unclean animal is now unclean, not being unclean when it's alive. So you can use a pig for whatever you need to use it for in your garden, in your place. Once that pig is dead, now the carcass is unclean. Now, that is your speed bump, that you are already in a state of uncleanliness when you start preparing the animal. We think we're in the state of uncleanliness when we start eating it. No, you was at the state of uncleanliness when you was preparing the animal to eat, that was your speed bump. And if you allowed that to prick your heart, you'll never get to the point where you put that pork chop in your mouth. Because you had already, chastised yourself when you touched the raw pork chop. See? Man, somebody sent me a thing the other day with something about a pig. I think Elder Barak had put something. Somebody sent it to him. I think it was a Muslim sent it to him, and then he sent it out. And it was showing that the pig has so much unclean stuff in his body. For him to get rid of the uncleanliness, he's got a spout on his foot that shoots out feces out of the foot. It was the foulest thing I've never seen. Of course, I don't examine pigs up close, but that's something that I never would have known. There is a sewage line, if you will, in his foot. So he just walk and crap. Just walk. Now, pause for a second. When I was little, they used to have pickled pig feet in that jar. We now pause for these throw-up moments. So it was people sucking on the sewage line coming home from school. I'm in there trying to get me some Chico sticks and 9-laters, but there was always somebody who had a pig foot stuck in their mouth, and they sucking on sewage lines as we walking home from school. And I always thought it was disgusting looking. But man, what I wouldn't give to have this knowledge when I was little. Boy, I would have sure ragged me some sewage line suckers. Oh man, I would have talked some junk. Whoa! I can't find me a person eating a pig foot now. I be looking for some. I can't find nobody, because I'm sure gonna be you, sewage line sucker, you. I can't find nobody. I think I'm just gonna have to go to a family reunion and just look for the people with the pig and all that old sewage line sucker right there. How you doing, sewage sucker? I just can't find nobody doing it now. I guess Yahweh was like, don't give him that knowledge. Don't give it to him yet. He ain't gonna do nothing but cause trouble. Yahweh knew not to tell me that. Because if I knew that then, oh my God, I would have caused some trouble. He would not let me know that. I thought, look at that. I think Elder Barak put it on Facebook. It is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. And I think they got it actually shooting out just a tad bit of feces as they have taken the picture. Because it doesn't have a way to get rid of all of its poison and its pus. Is what it shoots out. It shoots out. Oh, that makes it even nastier. It shoots out some pus. And I say this right as we get ready to eat. Okay.
Folks gonna be like, you know what? I ain't even hungry right now. I don't know. Something about that pus. Some of that pus. I just can't. You know what I'm saying? I can't really get into the Sabbath meal. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead, bro. Where are we going?
Second
Chronicles chapter 7. Let's try to get that pus off our mind. Go ahead.
Now when Slow-Mo had made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of Yahweh filled the house.
Okay, so understand the thing. Our offerings have to be made by fire. Understand, the fire represents Yahweh. This is why certain offerings were burnt completely up. That represents Yahweh consuming the offering. So we cannot show up with cold cuts. And for that reason, you got people that won't come here no more. Man, they cooking. They don't understand the fire of Yahweh. They don't understand what the fire came down and consumed the offering. So they don't want us to have nothing cooked. They don't really understand. And they probably should have asked some questions. But that's not what we do. What we do is we get on our own thought process, we get on our own tangent, and before we let that ride us on out of here. And what we should have did, hey man, can I come in there and ask you some questions? That clear up that mess right there. But that's not what we do. We let somebody in their strange doctrine carry us on out. Go ahead.
And the priest could not enter into the house of Yahweh, because the glory of Yahweh had filled the house of Yahweh. And when all the children of Israel saw how the fire came down, and the glory of Yahweh upon the house.
Now remember, the fire came down, remember? Now, check this out. Remember in the book of Job, when the fire came down and consumed the people, what did all of them say? It was the fire of Elohim came down and it consumed. They automatically thought it was the fire of Elohim. They automatically believed that it was Yahweh. Because they saw the fire of Elohim. They saw the fire come out of heaven. They automatically said, this is Yahweh. So it was automatically their assumption that it was Yahweh. Here it is, we don't understand the purpose of the fire. But we got folk around here teaching. They don't even understand the purpose of the fire. But they teaching other people. And then those people go and teach other people. And then those other people go and teach other people. Go ahead.
They bowed themselves with their faces to the ground upon the pavement, and worshipped and praised Yahweh, saying, For he is good, for his mercy endures forever. Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before Yahweh. And King Shlomo offered a sacrifice of 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated the house of Elohim. And the priests waited on their offices. The Levites also with instruments of music of Yahweh, which David the king had made to praise Yahweh, because his mercy endures forever.
Now, so the musical part was given unto the priesthood. This is a priestly job. When you deal with the choir musical instruments to be made to praise Yahweh, this is a priestly job. I wonder how many people understand that that's what they're doing. So if we decide we're going to have to do it, understand what we're doing. That is a priestly position there. Can't just do that any old kind of way. Go ahead.
And David praised by their ministry, and the priests sounded trumpets before them, and all Israel stood. Moreover, Shlomo hallowed the middle of the court that was before the house of Yahweh, for there he offered burnt offerings and the fat of the peace offerings, because the brazen altar which Shlomo had made was not able to receive the burnt offerings and the meat offerings and the fat. Also at the same time Shlomo kept the feast 7 days, and all Israel with him, a very great congregation, from the entering in of Hamath unto the river of Egypt. And in the 8th day they made a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days, and the feast 7 days. And on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away into their tents, glad and merry in heart, for the goodness that Yahweh had showed unto David and to Shlomo and to Israel, his people.
It's one of those things that I have to remind people. We're doing all of this to get back what we already had. Yahweh is just changing our perspective so that we will show more honor and appreciation to it. We ain't getting nothing new. We already had this. But we didn't respect it when we had it. So it's all right, well, let me take it for a minute. So that you will understand and respect it and understand what it is I gave to you. It's like giving a kid something too early. They don't have any respect for it. You give a kid a car and they tear up the car. You tell them, change the oil. Make sure you check the oil. Oil? Yeah, I'll check it. And 3 months later, you know they ain't checked it when they said, so where you check the oil at again? Ah! How you gonna ask me that 3 months later? That means you ain't been checking it. But let them purchase it. Let them do it with their own money. They're a week and a half. What you doing? Checking this oil. Oh, you bought it. You buying some nice clothes? Go in their room. The clothes all over the floor. They stepping on the clothes. Let them get their job and buy some clothes. You go in there. You like, what is that in that closet? Is that clothes in the closet? On a hanger? I didn't even know you had hangers.
no, I bought that. No, we're going to take care of that. That's Ralph Lauren.
Oh, I see, said the blind man. Oh, you purchased that. You gonna take care of that. Right. You gotta have something vested in the game. See? When you got something vested in the game, there's a little bit more appreciation that is shown there. When you ain't got nothing vested, hey, if you lose it all, you lost it. You ain't putting nothing in it. That's why the first cars that people lose are the zero down ones.
They're like, well, I ain't got that much in it. You know what I'm saying? It was zero down.
And they let it go just that quick. But when they have to work for it, they're not trying to let that go. Before we get to the end here, I want to give this certificate of baptism. This is to certify that Kim Wyatt, I ain't gonna read her earthly birth, but she was baptized on August 17th, 2019, into the Hebrew Israelite faith in the Church of the United Congregation of Israel. Congratulations, Sister Kim. I ain't put your birthday out there like that, you know what I'm saying? We gonna leave that, you know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna do it like that right there.
I want to say y'all, thank y'all so much.
You are very, very welcome.
I talk about y'all all the time, everybody.
All right.
Yep.
Praise Yahweh. You are welcome. You are welcome. I know we've been holding that one for a little bit too. Huh? Go ahead, brother. Where we at?
Verse 11.
Okay.
Thus Shlomo finished the house of Yahweh and the king's house.
Okay.
And all that came into Shlomo's heart to make in the house of Yahweh and in his own house, he prosperously effected. And Yahweh appeared to Shlomo by night, and said unto him, I have heard your prayer, and have chosen this place to myself for an house of sacrifice.
Right. Understand the wisdom of Shlomo and how intelligent this brother was. So for him to get off into some strange things, you have to understand that knowledge ain't gonna keep you from everything. How much you know is not gonna keep you from everything. We're talking about the wisdom of Shlomo was greater than the wisdom of anybody in the East during this time. Didn't stop him from getting off into some strange things. Had built a house for Yahweh, then built a house for other gods too. How you have that much knowledge and wisdom and get to that point? See, you got something when you talk about these people every couple years, they're going through and reading this law, right? So at what point does somebody say, hey, bro, according to this, what we just read, how you build a house over there for your strange wife? What was the brother at that stood up? Understand, Yahweh gonna hold us accountable. How this go on all that time, but we don't read about not one brother saying, hey man, you keep building these houses, man. Because understand, all of Israel ended up suffering because of it. It wasn't just like he just dealt with Shlomo. No. You have to ask yourself, why did he deal with all Israel? Why was the brothers who stood up and said, hey man, look here, we ain't got nothing to do with how many wives you got. That ain't none of our business. But I tell you what, them houses you building over there, with the substance that Elohim gave you, we got a problem, bro. Where the men was? Where were they? Do it again. Something get out of line, y'all supposed to stand up. Everybody just sit around and wait for the dude in charge to say something? But what if the dude in charge is the one who's doing the wrong? Ain't none of y'all gonna say nothing? Now you understand why he punished all Israel. He didn't just come and punish Shlomo house. Yahweh held us accountable. Ain't no neutral parties.
Oh, I'm neutral. I'm not gonna get into that.
You don't get into it. You don't get into it. When I send all y'all captives, get into it now. Let's see you neutral in your captivity. Let's see where your neutral gear at. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 13. If I shut up heaven that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.
Right. So then a special attention was then paid to this house, that if these prayers go up in this house, then I'm going to look upon the affliction of my people. Go ahead.
Now mine eyes shall be open, and mine ears attent unto the prayer that is made in this place. For now I have chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and mine eyes and mine heart shall be there perpetually. And as for you, if you will walk before me, as did Dawid your father walked, and do according to all that I have commanded you, and shall observe my statutes and my judgments, then will I establish the throne of your kingdom according as I have covenanted with Dawid your father, saying, there shall not fail you a man to be ruler in Israel.
So all he had to do was just keep walking. He didn't establish the covenant, okay? The covenant was established with his father. So all you got to do is walk in the line that was drawn, okay? If you just walk in the line, and there's no figuring out where the line is. I already showed you where the line is. Here's the line, the covenant. Your father stored up all the stuff to build this house. But I'm going to give you the glory of building the house. Because I couldn't let your daddy build a house. So you are inheriting this job. You are inheriting this power. You are inheriting this covenant. You didn't really do anything to make this happen. You was born into it. But all you got to do is walk. That's it. And you got it. Couldn't keep walking. Go ahead.
But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I pluck them up by the roots out of my land, which I have given them. And this house, which I have sanctified for my name, will I cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among all nations.
All right, verse 19. But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will pluck them up by the roots out of my land. Did you pay attention? Mm-hmm. If you, then I'm going to pluck them. If you, then I'm going to pluck them. So all the people who sit there and they stuck in neutral don't really know, hey, y'all do know it's y'all that's about to get kicked out of the land, right? While y'all sitting in neutral. While y'all saying, okay, well, we ain't got to really worry about keeping Yahweh's culture like that. You do know you about to be homeless, right? While you stuck in gear neutral. He said, if you, I'm going to pluck them. And understand something. They supposed to know all that. So when stuff started happening, what we do is,
As long as it ain't happening in my house.
not knowing that's happening at the big house, which means it's going to make it to your house. And that was part of the agreement. Go ahead.
And this house, which is high, shall be an astonishment to everyone that passes by it, so that he shall say, why has Yahweh done thus unto this land and unto this house? And it shall be answered, because they forsook Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, which brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, and laid hold on other gods, and worshipped them, and served them. Therefore has he brought all this evil upon them.
Mm-hmm. Therefore has he brought all this evil upon them. Because we know what happens when we see others doing things and no judgment shows up. You got slow-mo doing some things and judgment doesn't show up right away. Next thing you know, all our people are off worshiping strange gods. Next thing you know, now it's a fun thing to put the kids in. And Yahweh is getting more and more angry as it goes on. But he's patient in spirit. So by the time Yahweh ends up dealing with some things, it has gone on for quite some time. But what does he do by allowing it to go on for a while? He establishes that it wasn't a mistake. See, anybody can make a mistake. But when he steps back and just pause and he lets it go on, no, you ain't make a mistake for that long. So that way when he get ready to deal with it, he know he's dealing with it right. Because he let it go on long enough. Ain't no different. Same thing them folks do when they set them charges on you. They send that undercover agent in there to buy some of that stuff from you. They don't lock them people up right then. They send them in about 15 more times. So by the time they call you,
You said, well, it was just something that had happened that day.
and then, for real? Because that's funny, because we got 14 more recordings. And they start playing them day by day. Bop, bop. 14 different agents. They done sent in. Yeah, this wasn't something that you just did that day. This was your way of life. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 11. So at that point, we got to do the uncomfortable part of putting that thing in reverse. Ezekiel 11, and let's read verses 14 through 20.
Verse 14. Again the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, your brethren, even your brethren, the men of your kindred, and all the house of Israel holy, are they unto whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem have said, Get you far from Yahweh, unto us is this land given in possession.
You see what happens sometimes when we have something, we can't respect it because we got it. It's our land. We ain't got to go out of the way to do anything for it, to do anything with it. It's ours. The land was given unto us. It was named after us. Yahweh done already made the promises with us. He has entered into a covenant with us. We ain't got to do this other stuff. Yeah, but we had a covenant and we said all the things you have said we will do. Yeah. I know we said that. But it's ours. So we can deal with it how we want to deal with it. So Yahweh had to come and intervene with some things. Go ahead.
Therefore say, Thus says the Adonai Yah, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come.
So when we consider this, Yahweh will be unto us a little sanctuary in all of the places where he have scattered us. Consider, in some of those places, we may not have a house of worship. He will be a little sanctuary unto us. So then we do the best that we can in keeping these things where we are, because it's going to be required of us on a grand scale when we get in that land. It is going to be required of us to remove certain things when we get in that land. It is going to be required of us. We can't be trying to figure it out while we're standing in the midst of Yahweh's land. It's figuring out time right now. So we make a mistake, we put the thing in reverse. And we back up and we go fix that. We make another mistake, we put that thing in reverse and we go back and fix that. You want to make your mistakes while the angel not standing there with his sword out. That ain't the time you want to make the mistake. You want to make the mistake so he just look at you. All right, you finna fix that, right? Yes, sir. Okay. He put his sword back up. But when we get down, he going to expect us to have some things down. It was just like during the time of Nehemiah. They read in the book. Their hearts were pricked. Man, we ain't done this. We ain't done that. This is the heart pricking time now. We can't get in his land and then start, oh man, we were supposed to do what? We can't be standing up there. All of these people are there to hear the law, and we out there hearing the law and got a pork chop hanging out our mouth. What are you doing? So we need to hear those things before that. Like I said, it'll be about 5 o'clock when we get ready to go through the Bible trivia, and you can call the call line number to listen in if you want to be a part of that. Hopefully that answered the questions that we have been getting about how to keep these holy days. Understand that it does say, and a few I'll still have to answer because they ask some specific things, and I will send an email out or two on those specific questions. But that's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.